Hi, I'm Karissa, and I'm an OK housewife.
I'm Dacia, and I'm also an OK housewife.
And today we are going to be talking about adult friendships. Dacia has worked on this and she's done some research. So I'm going to just let her take the ball and share what she wants to discuss.
Yeah. Well, if you know me, you know friendships are very important.
Right?
I think they're important to everybody, but um I don't know. I guess I hold myself to a higher standard with friendships. Like
Well, yeah. And I mean, we've talked about this. This has something to do with like personality too,
very much.
right?
Yeah.
We're similar Enneagrams, so we think.
Yeah.
And personality has a lot to do with how you respond and how you prioritize
Yes. Any kind of relation.
friendships,
Yeah, friendships,
any
any
relationship.
relationships.
Like,
Yeah.
like we think we're both eights,
Yeah.
right? And our eight enneagrams like are loyal, they're protective over their people.
Yes.
They are like, hey, if you're in my circle, you're in my circle kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of that idea.
So one of the things that I found that I thought was interesting was that the average female friendship lasts 16 years, which
Oh,
which is 6 years longer than the average romantic relationship.
the
Which
average romantic relationship lasts 10
10
years. And so, oh, interesting.
and the average women female relationship is 16.
Okay.
Which it surprises me and it doesn't. I feel like I'm more surprised that the romantic relationship is only 10 years, but
That's honestly scary that it's only 10
yeah.
years, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like marriage,
Yeah.
correct? Like
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
referring to marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'm sure you've heard this stat that if a friendship lasts longer than 7 years, it'll last a lifetime. Like 7 years is like the marker where, like
Like,
you pretty
yeah.
much count them as a lifelong friend.
Yeah. Like even with, they say that with relationships. That's why they call it the 7 year
7 year itch.
itch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like with romantic
Yeah.
relationships. Interesting. Okay.
And I think what's interesting to me is like my friendships have changed so much over different phases of my life.
Right.
Obviously I still have like you and Ash, like I've got my few from like high school and middle school,
Right.
but like adult relationships. And I kind of always thought, oh my gosh, like none of my friends that I'm going to meet as an adult, like will mean as much to me as like even like my college friends.
Yeah.
And it's really shocking how quickly adult relationships really form these very strong bonds. And I think it's kind of from being in the trenches of being a parent.
Yeah. Especially with, if you have kids going through the same things,
Yes.
you bond over that. You have more things in common to bond over.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, I think that that's what also changes your friendships over time. If you don't prioritize that friendship, if you don't have the commonality of your kids being maybe the same gender or same
Right.
age,
Right.
it's really, really hard to keep those friendships going.
It is. It's
Uh,
difficult.
So that was very interesting to me.
Mhm.
Um, and then obviously talking about how men don't have near as many friendships as women, which
Mhm.
I don't think anybody would be shocked by.
Right.
But 8% of Americans said that they have no close friends.
8?
8.
That's really sad.
Which I get.
That actually seems low to me, actually.
Does it?
I don't feel like that's a real high stat, especially right now in our society. Do you know what year that
This was
was?
2023.
Okay.
So it was post-pandemic because I kind of feel like any statistic pre-pandemic
Is not applicable.
exactly.
Yeah,
Because it changed relationships, I think, more than anything.
I agree.
Um, I mean, but that was I agree with you. I kind of thought that it would be higher. So it was 8% was no close friends. 7% said they had one close friend.
Okay.
14% two. 18% was 3, and then 5, and then 38% said 5 plus close
Oh, man.
friends.
Somebody's got some friends.
Which I also would like to see the breakdown of like the ages,
Right.
because like in your 20s,
You're
you're
like,
like,
"Everyone's my
I got
friend.
45 best
We go
friends.
out, we
Yeah.
do all the things."
And then in your
Yes.
40s, you're like, I may have half.
You're, like, looking at your fingers.
You're like, can
Mm,
my husband be considered
2
one?
which I'm glad you mentioned that because my husband is my best friend.
1000%.
Like, I mean, we say that to each other
Oh
all the
yeah.
time.
So do we.
He's like, "You're my best friend." I'm like, "You're my best friend," you know?
Yeah.
And so he is my best friend, but there are a lot of relationships where that isn't like that.
Yes.
I
Very
mean,
much so.
I don't really feel like my parents were that way growing up.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that may have hindered the relationship
Yeah.
some
Yeah, I think so.
because like when you're best friends, you want to do everything together.
Yeah, like
Right?
I'll pick Toby over any friend, always.
Totally.
I don't even have to really think about that.
No.
Now, I will make time for friends, always.
Right.
But if it came down, like I had a slice of time and I could only spend it, like there's no
I
question.
want to spend it with my husband.
Yeah, yes.
Yes. I completely agree. And yeah. So I think that I feel like they should count. And then
So I have two. No, I'm just
well,
kidding.
yeah, I have 2 friends now. Which that like so if our husband is our best friend, does that mean you can really have another best friend?
Yeah.
Because I don't really feel like I have never felt like I really have the space for that
Yeah.
because like that relationship takes a lot.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like at this age, there's not a huge differentiation with friendships in like
Yeah.
importance, maybe. I know that sounds terrible. Like, I mean, I'd probably say like my college friends like probably are at the top. Like those are the people I'll like are gonna, besides Toby, are gonna come first,
Right.
But beyond those like 2, 3 people, everybody's like same playing field. So there's not like that best friend anymore, like
Yeah.
in high school or college, maybe.
Yeah, but it was like, I feel like my mom didn't really do this, but your mom,
Mm-hmm.
she always had a BFF.
Oh yeah, she did.
Yeah.
But mom was a collector, and I remember that was, and I find myself being that, like,
Uh-huh.
and we found that out a lot, like after she passed away, and like when people would come up to us and tell stories about her, and at her funeral, like some of the stories, she was like a collector of people, a collector of friends,
Mhm.
and so it was like she always had friends from different walks of life, and I'm like that.
Mhm.
And so when I find these people that have like, this group of like 8 friends and they've all been friends like forever, I'm like, oh my God, if I put 8 of my friends in a group, they'd be like, so how do you know Dacia? And they'd be like, well, I worked at Gap with her. And like it just like, I feel like I've just kind of collected the people that I've actually wanted to keep in touch with.
Sure, and I think that's relatively normal to have people
Yes.
from all walks of life. It's like when I've had gatherings before and it's like I have all these people from different phases.
For sure.
It's like, "Hey, I picked you up in law school."
But I don't feel like men are like that.
No, men are only friends it seems like with their present life,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like Toby sometimes will call certain people best friends, and I'm like,
Really?
well, can you tell me the last time that you had a conversation with that person? And it's like, it is not post-pandemic.
But see, and that's what's so funny though about guys though is that if that person was at your house tomorrow,
Best
they'd
friend.
be shooting the bull like nothing happened.
Best friend.
That's how guys work.
I know. And me,
And
I'd
I
be like,
envied them.
I'd be like, so where you been? You can't pick up the phone? I wouldn't even let him into my house. Like, let's be honest.
You'd be holding them accountable, and Toby would be like giving him a big hug.
I would be like, it's been
Come
so
in here,
long.
bro.
Yeah. And it's so funny. And I don't know, but yeah, the way Toby, boys are just very different with friendships. And I commend Toby because he will sit there and he will listen to me for 16 years, knowing that probably 65% of the times that there's been an issue, like I'm the problem.
Oh, totally.
And how because I mean, if Toby tells me, I'm like, you're the issue there. Like, I pick up the phone.
Again, our Enneagram coming out
Right,
strong.
right. Our
Like,
husbands are like,
we have no problem
yeah,
being direct.
right.
And yeah, no, I agree. Like, yeah, guys just take everything so surfacey. They
Yeah,
don't ever like girls are so paranoid about everything,
right.
myself included. Like somebody can look at me a certain way and I'm like, "Oh my god, I said the wrong thing,"
Mhm.
or I offended them.
Yeah.
And I'll go home and regurgitate it to Kevin and he's like, "I think you're fine."
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if I'm fine or not because in girl world,
Yeah.
it's completely different.
Or if it's like it took them 10 minutes to respond to the text instead of 5, I'm like, "What did I say?
Yeah.
What did I
I
do?
made him mad.
I must have really annoyed her today."
Yep.
Like
Yep, I know. These insecurities that we have as women, but it's just like it just is another thing that like women are so complex.
Yeah,
Men are very, I feel like black and white when it comes to things.
the majority of them, yes.
Yeah, and I say this, I've said this to several people, but like because of working in sales and because of working in the oil and gas industry, I gravitate more towards males now
Mm.
just because um I just feel like it's simpler.
Yeah.
And so, like, if there's a room full of women and there are 2 males or something, I would probably stand closer to the males and see if I can hear what they're talking about
Oh,
and join
interesting.
in the conversation.
I mean, that's like the last thing I would do.
I know, but it's like what I've trained myself to do
Yeah.
because, I mean, I was a part of a district with 50 people and I was the only female.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah, so
like
it's more of like your nature.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's my nature to gravitate towards the males because I want to talk about numbers.
Yeah.
I want to talk about closing deals. I want to talk about all this
Oh, not
stuff.
me. I'm like, did y'all watch the Real Housewives the other day?
I know. I'm like, I didn't have time for that because I was reading about closing a deal.
Yeah. And I'm
You
like,
know?
well, you don't even know. Which,
I
yeah.
know. So that's actually something where I've had to grow
Yeah.
and I've had to really consciously go, you know, hey, I really like your shirt.
Where'd you get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm genuinely mean that,
Yeah.
but I have to go into woman
Woman mode.
woman mode.
Well, okay. So I found this. This was very, very interesting to me. So it was a study done through UCLA
Mhm.
about how our chemistry. Originally, they only did these tests on men. Shocker.
Mm.
And that was when they kind of came up with the fight or flight mode, that we all only have fight or flight. Like those are our only two like responses.
Sure.
Well, then UCLA did this same research on women and realized that we have more than that. And so I'll just read this.
Okay.
In an ancient survival mechanism left over from the time we were chased across the planet by saber-toothed tigers, now the researchers suspect that women have a larger behavioral repertoire, I can't say that word,
Mm.
than just fight or flight. In fact, it seems that when the hormone oxytocin is released as part of the stress responses in a woman, it buffers the fight or flight response and encourages her to tend children and gather with other women instead.
Oh, interesting.
Which you're like, duh.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Like, I knew that.
if a
But like,
tiger's coming at me, I'm not saving my husband,
no,
right?
no.
We're going to save our babies.
Right. And then they're going to jump in front of us.
Right.
Right.
That's how it works.
That is how it works.
Yes.
Here in Oklahoma.
That's how it should work
I know.
everywhere.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah.
But yeah, I just thought, but it's true. Like, so I went on a cruise in October for my friend's 40th and
Yeah.
but we planned that like last February. It was the three of us that all went to OSU together and we went to Carlton Landing for a weekend.
Mhm.
And we got there. We like never really ever even left. And
At Carlton Landing?
yeah.
Okay.
And it was in the winter, so it wasn't like and we literally just ate.
Uh-huh.
We played some pickleball and we always pick a show and we like binge watch the show together
Uh-huh.
and cried and laughed. Like,
I love it.
yes. And I'll like tell Toby about these trips because I feel like every girl trip is, somewhere
Different.
along the lines of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, in his mind, I think he's like, "That sounds like the worst trip I could possibly." He's like, "You all sat and talked for how many hours?" He's like, "Did you run out of words?" And I'm like, "No," because at the end, you're like, I could have done this for 2 more weeks, you know?
Yeah.
And it reiterates, I think, like, we have something innate, especially as women, like, we have something very innate in us that needs other women. And it may only be one other woman, like,
Totally.
but I do know certain people that, you know, it's like they really don't feel, and I think this is probably a lot of women,
Mhm.
we're, feminists and, like more power. And I'm not saying we shouldn't, like, get your stuff, do your thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think that overdrives who we really are, and that we are made for community in general, but even on a deeper level, like women that we can talk to that understand exactly. I mean, even just like us just talking about like anxiety,
Yeah.
like it's so aligned because we have the exact same responsibilities, the exact same fears, things
Mhm.
like that with our family.
Mhm.
Um, and I think like the main reason why I wanted to talk about friendships are just mean so much to me because I think back at the hardest parts of my life. And of course, like I thank God for God and Toby and my kids, but there were certain things that they couldn't have done that my friends did,
Right.
you know?
Well, the thing is that friends don't have to do anything.
Exactly.
So when they do, you're like, "Oh, this is what love looks like,"
Yes.
because you don't have to do this,
Yes.
but you're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, there's something about your kids and your husband where they have to love you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like where you really, when you go through those tough times, when you really see, like, oh, wow, like you stepped up.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, and at this stage of life, 30s, 40s, like we're kind of in the trenches in different ways with our kids, but
Mhm.
obviously, like our kids and our husbands are our priority. For someone to take any of that time to do something for you,
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
you could not spend a dime, but
Yeah.
you like show up to sit with me and talk with me for like an hour or something.
Mhm.
I'm never going to forget that,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Um, and so I don't know. I don't know why I wanted to talk about this or why it was kind of on my heart. I just think, I was talking to a friend at Sire's school, and we were talking about another mom, and that, there's I think a lot of times like when we're going through things, and I've been going through things, we turn inward.
Yeah,
Y-
100%. That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I go into my little like cave
Right.
and I stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think like, but then when I talk about it, it's like
You feel
it
so much better.
yes.
Right.
Um, and so it's funny how that's like our initial reaction is like, "Oh, I'm gonna
Mhm. Hole
pour."
up.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah, but yeah, that's kind of all.
That was all you had to talk about?
Well, about that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I go to a female counselor once a month, and that kind of gives me that third party, bounce off
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
because, you know, once again, like I don't always have the capacity to fit anything into my life sometimes. And I just want somebody who isn't in my circle, like to give me feedback
yeah,
and to give me honest feedback. And so, and especially because this specific lady I've gone to for a long, long time, like, since college. So not the whole time, but consistently, And so I don't know. I feel like even just the practice of getting something out in
yeah.
the open can be helpful.
Oh, absolutely.
Can be just like, you know, we're supposed to carry each other's burdens,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
So when you talk about those things out loud to each other, like, hey, I'm really struggling with this, it makes it to where the other person can relate to you. And then hopefully you guys can be praying about it.
right.
And
Absolutely.
and you're in their thoughts and they think about it and they're helping you carry that.
Right.
And so there's something about that I think that is impactful.
I agree.
But like, I don't know. I tend to process things differently these days, and I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like, I crave female companionship,
Yeah.
but at the same time, sometimes I don't want the responsibility. Does that
Mm.
make sense?
Mhm.
Like, because like today, you try to plan your day out, right?
Mhm.
And then all the moving parts move.
Right.
And so it's like, it's hard for me to think about doing something consistently socially,
Right.
and I don't know why,
Mhm.
but um I think it's because so many things pop up.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think finding people that understand that and give
yeah.
you grace,
Yeah.
and just knowing like when it happens, it's great. It may not be as consistent as we want at this stage of life,
Right.
but if we can continue to try and keep connecting when we can,
Right.
it'll get us through these, because
Right.
there's gonna be a time when our kids aren't here, and
I know, and it's
I'm
like
like, I'm gonna need to like be playing mahjong all day, our day with my girls.
I know, and it's like, see, I think about like when I think when my kids aren't here, or like when my kids possibly go to school and I'll have a designated amount of time, I'm like, I think about being productive.
Hmm. Same. No.
I think about what all can I get done? How much money can I make? What can I do? Like, that's what I think about. I
Oh
don't think about
my God, we are wired
I
so
know.
differently.
Well, and it's not good because what it is I have to I have to intentionally do things that are enjoyable.
Yeah.
I have to be intentional about that
Mm.
because I will find myself on the wheel
Oh
and not
wow.
stopping.
I haven't stepped on that wheel. I mean, I just see. I feel like when so like my days off work, I've got like
Yeah.
2 days, and I feel like I carve out like my time to work out. Like that's
Mhm.
always first thing in the morning.
Mhm.
But then I'm like, okay, like who could I meet for lunch, or who could I go play mahjong with, or who would maybe I can go to the mall and like meet up with a friend. We can go shopping. Like that's
That's amazing. Cause
well, it'd be better if I think Toby would be a little bit happier if I was trying to figure out how to make more money during those hours. Like maybe working more. But
right, right.
it just shows like we're just so wired differently. And sometimes I get my feelings hurt because other people don't feel like that. But it has nothing to do with
It
me.
probably has nothing to do with you. It's because they could be wired differently. Like
Yeah.
they could be seeing it like for example, I mean, I don't want to say anal about my house because you were just here, it's a mess, but it's like I have a certain level that I like to keep my house at.
Right.
So it's like I don't feel like I can go have that lunch if my
Until.
house is in a perfect condition.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like and let's be real, how many times is everything aligned like that?
Never.
So I just don't do it.
Yeah. Well, let this be your reminder
Yeah.
to try and touch base and try and touch out, for those relationships because they're so important. Even if it happens once every 6 months, like something minimally,
Yeah,
and you kind of get connection with your kids' moms that you've
I
become friends
do.
with. So
I
like
do.
you have that.
I have somewhat of an outlet there. But
Yeah,
it's nothing like it's like, "Hey, I need you. Come over."
for sure.
Like it's not like that. And I think deep down that's kind of what everybody craves, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because like let's just say if something ever happened with Kevin and I had to rush out this door, like I'd be waiting 30 minutes for one of my parents to come over.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't have anybody nearby where I'd be like, "Oh my god, come over here."
Right.
You
That would
know?
like drop whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's for some reason that means community to me,
Yeah.
and I don't know why.
Well, because that does. Because that is the essence of community, is that people that look at you as you're important to me, even if it's inconvenient.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but also something to add to this, like, that book that I was reading, the one fiction book that I've read this year that
Mm-hmm.
you had read
Oh,
too.
uh-huh.
Yeah. So at the end of that, she realizes that all she ever has been is whoever she's been with,
Yes. Yeah,
right?
she's, like, taking on their personalities.
She's taken on their likes, all those things,
Yeah.
right? And she intentionally had to be like, "No, I am not going to move in with you, or I'm not gonna do this because I need to make sure and maintain these outside friendships outside of this relationship because you may not always be here."
Yeah.
Like, she said that to the
Yeah.
guy
Yeah.
that she was crazy about. And that was a really good that was really good advice because I think, if something ever happened to our spouse, heaven forbid, it's like, you need that circle.
Mhm.
You need that circle of help.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so, I mean, I have a big, big family. So it's like we all depend on each other a lot. But like you said, it'd just be great to have somebody who steps up even when they don't like
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So we should be that person
Yes.
for other people.
Yes. Which
Yeah.
is and it's never easy, but I feel like anytime I do that, I I'm always, like, thankful that I was given the opportunity to because for me, like, I've gone through that. Like, I've been in that situation where, like, I needed people.
Yeah.
And the people that were there,
Mhm.
like, I know them.
Right.
I'll always be there.
Right.
The people that weren't,
Right. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. My mom has always said this, that we don't do things for other people to get things back.
Yeah.
We do it because it's who we are.
Yes.
So if people give, or if you give, you have to do it, and you have to do it with the intention of not receiving anything in return. And you're just doing what you feel like you're called to do, and it's who you are,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And so that's always something that I've tried to live by
Yeah.
because unfortunately things aren't always reciprocated.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, encourage somebody and be
Go
there for somebody.
go find yourself a friend today.
Go find
If you don't
yourself a
have it,
friend
a
today.
friend, step outside of the 8% and find a friend today.
Yes. And we hope you have a great week. Find us on Instagram and all the socials, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.